The wine glass trembled in my hand as I stared at the DNA testing kit on Vienna's coffee table. What had started as a casual Friday night dinner with friends had somehow morphed into a game of truth or dare, at 32 years old no less. "Come on, Felicity," Vienna urged, topping off my glass. "You've been wondering about your family's secrets forever. What's the worst that could happen?" I took another sip of Merlot, trying to steady my nerves. The truth was, I'd spent my entire career as a forensic scientist uncovering other people's secrets, but my own family's mysteries remained locked away in a vault I'd never dared to open. "I don't know," I said, running my finger along the rim of my glass. "Dad's a respected attorney. Mum's the perfect society wife. Maybe some stones are better left unturned." Aidan, my colleague from the lab, leaned forward. "That's exactly why you should do it. Perfect facades usually hide the biggest cracks." He wasn't wrong. I'd grown up in a world of galas and charity events, watching my father command rooms with his charisma while my mother played the dutiful wife. But there were always those moments. The hushed phone calls, the unexplained business trips, the tension that would crack through their perfect veneer, like lightning through a summer sky. "Fine," I said, grabbing the kit. "But you're all terrible influences." Vienna clapped her hands. "That's my girl. Now, the instructions say you just need to—" "I know how to collect DNA samples, Vi. I literally do this for a living." I couldn't help but laugh as I opened the package. The process was simple enough: swab, seal, send. But as I wrote my information on the form, my hand hesitated over the family history section. "What's wrong?" Aidan asked, noticing my pause. "Just thinking about that summer when I was 12. Dad disappeared for 3 weeks, claiming he was working on a big case in Chicago. Mom cried every night when she thought I was asleep." Vienna squeezed my shoulder. "Maybe now you'll finally get some answers." "Or maybe I'll find out I'm actually Swedish," I joked, trying to lighten the mood. But my attempt at humor felt hollow, even to me. The next few weeks passed in a blur of casework and court testimonies. I'd almost forgotten about the test until my phone buzzed during lunch one day. The notification made my heart skip. "DNA results ready. Close relative match found." "Close relative?" Aidan peered over my shoulder at the break room table. "That could mean anything from a cousin to a sibling," I finished, my voice barely a whisper. My fingers shook as I opened the app. There it was, in stark digital clarity. 99.9% probability of half-sibling match with Maria R. The break room suddenly felt too small, too warm. I'd expected maybe some distant relatives, perhaps confirmation of our supposed Irish heritage. Not this, not a sister. "Felicity?" Aidan's voice seemed to come from far away. "Are you okay?" I showed him my phone. "I have a sister, Aidan, a half-sister I never knew existed." He whistled low. "Well, that explains those business trips." "I need to call Vienna," I said, standing up so quickly my chair scraped against the floor. "She's not going to believe this." But as I reached for my phone, another notification popped up. A message from this Maria R. "Hi, Felicity. I see we're a match. I've been looking for my biological family for a long time. Would you be willing to talk?" I stared at the message until the words blurred. All those perfect family photos on our walls, all those elaborate dinner parties where Dad would boast about his cases and his golf scores. They felt like scenes from a movie now, carefully staged productions hiding the truth. "What are you going to do?" Aidan asked softly. I took a deep breath, straightening my lab coat. "I'm going to do what I always do, follow the evidence. And right now, the evidence is telling me my father has been living a double life." "Be careful," he warned. "Sometimes the truth can hurt more than the lies." I looked at him, feeling a strange calm settle over me. "The truth already hurts, Aidan, but now I have a chance to make it right." As I typed my response to Maria, I could feel my world shifting on its axis. Everything I thought I knew about my family was about to change. But maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. Maybe it was time for some truths to come to light. "Hi, Maria," I wrote. "Yes, I'd love to talk. How about coffee this weekend? The response came almost immediately. Saturday at 2. There's so much I need to tell you. I clicked send on my confirmation, then looked up at Aiden. Well, looks like I'm meeting my sister on Saturday. Your secret sister, he corrected. God, your father is going to lose it when this comes out. A small smile played at my lips. Yes, I said quietly. Yes, he is. I stood in my parents' kitchen, watching my mother arrange flowers in a crystal vase, as if her world wasn't about to shatter. The familiar scent of her jasmine tea filled the air, making this moment feel surreal. Mom, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. We need to talk about Dad. She didn't look up from her roses. Darling, your father's at the office. You know how busy he gets with these high-profile cases. I know about Maria. The crystal vase slipped from her hands, crashing onto the marble counter. Water and flowers spilled everywhere, but she didn't move to clean it up. Her face had gone pale. Who told you that name? She whispered. A DNA test did. I pulled out my phone, showing her the results. Were you ever going to tell me I had a sister? Mom gripped the counter, her knuckles white. Half-sister, she corrected automatically, then pressed her lips together as if trying to catch the words too late. So you knew. The betrayal felt like ice in my veins. All this time, you knew. Felicity, please. She finally turned to face me. Your father made mistakes, but we worked through them. We decided it was better. Better to lie to me? Better to pretend we were the perfect family while my sister grew up without a father. You don't understand the complications. I understand perfectly. I pulled up a photo Maria had sent me. This is her, Mum. This is my sister. She's real, she's alive, and she's been wondering her whole life why her father abandoned her. Mum's hands trembled as she looked at the photo. She looks just like him, she murmured. I'm meeting her tomorrow. That got her attention. Felicity, no, you can't. Can't what? Acknowledge my own sister? Expose Dad's precious reputation? Your father loves you. He loves his image more. I started gathering the scattered roses, needing something to do with my hands. Did you know Maria's mother died when she was young, that she was raised by her aunt, that she put herself through community college working 2 jobs? Mom sank into a kitchen chair. Selena died. We never... Selena, was that her name? I pulled out my phone again, making notes. Dad's affair partner has a name now. That's progress. Please. Mom reached for my hand. Don't do this. Don't destroy everything we've built. I jerked away from her touch. You mean everything Dad built on lies? His reputation as a family man, his speeches about moral integrity in the justice system. My phone buzzed, a text from Vienna. How did it go with your mom? I have to go, I said, grabbing my purse. But this isn't over. Maria deserves better than to be your dirty little secret. What are you planning? Mum's voice shook. I paused at the door. I'm planning to have coffee with my sister tomorrow. After that, we'll see what truths come to light. The drive to Vienna's apartment was a blur. She opened her door, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. You need wine, she declared, heading for her kitchen. I need answers, I corrected, collapsing onto her couch. Mum knew everything, Vi. All these years, she knew about Maria, about Selena, about Dad's affair. Vienna returned with 2 glasses of red. Of course she knew. Women always know. But she chose to hide it, to protect him. To protect you too, probably. Vienna sat beside me. Not that I'm defending her, but having your perfect world shattered isn't easy at any age. I took a long sip of wine. I looked up Selena online. She was Dad's legal assistant 28 years ago. Died in a car accident when Maria was 5. Jesus. Vienna shook her head. No wonder your dad kept this buried. Maria said her aunt raised her. Dad must have paid them off to keep quiet. I pulled out my phone, showing Vienna the photo. Look at her. She has his eyes. What are you going to do? I thought about Mum's face when she saw Maria's photo, about all the lies wrapped up in our family's perfect image. First, I'm going to meet my sister. Then, I smiled. but there was no warmth in it. Then I'm going to make sure Dad faces the consequences of his choices. Be careful, Vienna warned. Men like your father don't go down easily. No, I agreed, but they do go down. And I have science on my side this time. DNA doesn't lie, even when people do. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Maria. Looking forward to tomorrow. There's so much I want to know about you, about him. I typed back, me too. And Maria, we're going to make this right. Vienna clinked her glass against mine. To family secrets finally seeing the light of day. To truth, I corrected, and to karma finally catching up with my father. The coffee shop buzzed with Saturday afternoon energy, but I spotted Maria instantly. She sat in a corner booth, fidgeting with a paper napkin, her dark hair and sharp features so eerily similar to Dad's that it made my chest tight. Maria, I approached slowly, as if she might disappear. She stood quickly, knocking her knee against the table. Felicity, hi, She hesitated, then stepped forward to hug me. The gesture caught me off guard, but I found myself hugging back. I got you a latte, she said, as we sat down. I hope that's okay. I saw on your social media that you like them. You researched me? She blushed. Is that weird? I've known about you for years. Seen you in the society pages with him sometimes. The way she said him made my stomach clench. How long have you known about Dad? Always. Maria wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. Aunt Annika, she's actually my mom's sister. She never hid it from me. Said I deserved to know where I came from, even if he didn't want me. I'm so sorry, I whispered. Don't be. You didn't know. She pulled out her phone, showing me a photo. That's my mom, Selena. It's one of the few pictures I have of her. The woman in the photo was beautiful, with kind eyes and a bright smile. She worked for Dad's firm, Maria nodded. Legal assistant. They had an affair for almost 2 years. When she got pregnant, he paid her off to keep quiet. Monthly payments, enough to live on, but with strict conditions. We could never contact him or reveal who he was. But the payment stopped. When Mom died, Maria's voice hardened. Aunt Annika tried to reach out to him, but his lawyers shut her down, said we had no proof, that the original agreement was void, that he'd deny everything. I felt sick. That sounds like him. You know what's funny? Maria stirred her coffee absently. I used to watch him on TV, giving speeches about justice and family values. He'd talk about his perfect daughter, his perfect life, and I'd think, what about me? Wasn't I his family too? He's a hypocrite, I said, anger rising in my throat. A liar who abandoned his own child to protect his reputation. Aunt Annika always said karma would catch up to him eventually. Maria smiled slightly. Guess she was right. Tell me about your life, I said, leaning forward. I want to know everything. For the next hour, Maria shared her story. Growing up in Queens, her aunt working multiple jobs to support her, scholarships that got her through community college, her current job as a paralegal while she saved for law school. Law school? I couldn't help but laugh. Following in his footsteps without even knowing it. I want to help people who can't afford fancy lawyers, she said. People like my aunt, who got pushed around by powerful men with expensive suits. I could help, I offered. With law school, I mean. I have resources. No, Maria cut me off firmly. I'm not looking for handouts, especially not his money. It wouldn't be his money. It would be mine, helping my sister. She blinked rapidly, eyes shining. That's the first time anyone's called me their sister. My phone buzzed, a text from Dad. Dinner at the club tomorrow night. Have some big news to share. Everything okay? Maria asked, noticing my expression. It's him. Wants to have dinner tomorrow, probably to brag about another high-profile case. I looked at her thoughtfully. You know what? You should come. What? No, I couldn't. Yes, you could. It's time he faced what he did. Both of us together. Maria paled. Felicity, I don't know. Don't you want him to acknowledge you? To face the consequences of abandoning you? Of course I do, but... Then let's do it. Let's make him face the truth. I grabbed her hand across the table. No more hiding, no more pretending you don't exist. She squeezed my hand back, taking a deep breath. You really want to do this? More than anything. I pulled out my phone, typing a reply to Dad. Dinner sounds great. Mind if I bring a friend? Someone very special I'd like you to meet. His response came quickly. Of course, sweetheart. Any friend of yours is welcome. He has no idea, Maria whispered, reading the message. No, I smiled, feeling a mix of anticipation and vindication. But he will. Tomorrow, everyone will know exactly who you are. As we said goodbye outside the coffee shop, Maria hugged me again. This time, it felt natural, like we'd been sisters all our lives. Thank you, she whispered, for finding me, for believing me. Thank you for being brave enough to meet me. I pulled back, meeting her eyes, Dad's eyes. Tomorrow we change everything. Walking to my car, I felt lighter somehow. The truth might hurt, but lies had been hurting us all for much longer. It was time for some honest pain, the kind that leads to healing. I sat in my parked car outside Dad's law firm, watching through binoculars as he emerged from the building. It was nearly 8 p.m., long after his usual departure time. Instead of heading to his car, he walked briskly down the street, checking his phone repeatedly. Got you, I muttered, starting my engine. Following him wasn't difficult. He wasn't expecting anyone to watch him. 3 blocks later, he entered an upscale restaurant. I parked across the street and texted Aidan. He's meeting someone at Bella's. Can you run that name I sent you? While waiting for his response, I watched Dad greet a woman through the restaurant window. She was elegant, probably in her late 50s, with silver-streaked dark hair. They sat in a corner booth, heads close together. My phone buzzed. Selena Bryant's sister, Aidan's text read, Annika Rogers, current address in Queens, works as a nurse. Maria's aunt. My hands tightened on the steering wheel as I watched them argue in hushed tones. Dad kept shaking his head, pushing what looked like an envelope across the table. Annika pushed it back. I snapped several photos with my phone, then called Vienna. He's meeting Maria's aunt, I said when she answered. Right now. Holy shit, why? Don't know yet, but I'm betting it has something to do with tomorrow's dinner. He must have figured out who Maria is. How? Maybe Mom told him. Maybe he has people monitoring his DNA matches too. Either way, he's trying to control the situation. Through the window, I watched Annika stand abruptly, leaving the envelope on the table. Dad grabbed her arm, but she yanked away and stormed out. I have to go, I told Vienna. His damage control is about to fail spectacularly. I got out of my car and jogged across the street, catching up to Anika. Ms. Rogers? She spun around, eyes wide. Who are you? I'm Felicity, Maria's sister. I held up my hands when she stepped back. Please, I just want to talk. Her expression softened slightly. You look like her, like Selena. What did he want? Annika's face hardened. To buy our silence, again. Offered me money to keep Maria away from you, from his perfect life. She laughed bitterly. 28 years later, and he's still trying to make us disappear. How much? $500,000. Said it was generous compensation for any emotional distress. She spat the words like they tasted bad. But you refused. Money can't fix what he did to Maria. To Selena. Annika's eyes filled with tears. My sister loved him, you know. Believed all his promises about leaving his wife, starting fresh. Then she got pregnant and suddenly she was just a problem to solve. My phone buzzed. A text from Maria. Aunt Annika just called. Dad tried to buy her off. I can't do dinner tomorrow. I'm sorry. Ms. Rogers, I said urgently. Please tell Maria not to cancel tomorrow. This is exactly what he wants. For her to stay invisible. To protect his reputation. It would hurt her less than facing his rejection again. Or it could finally give her closure. Give her a chance to show him she succeeded despite him, not because of him. I pulled out my business card. I'm a forensic scientist. I deal in evidence, in truth. Help me expose his. Annika took the card slowly. What's your plan? Tomorrow at dinner, he's announcing something big. Probably his campaign for district attorney. He's been hinting at it for months. Imagine his face when his abandoned daughter shows up instead. He'll deny everything. He always does. I smiled. DNA doesn't lie. Neither do bank records, which I'm betting show years of payments to Selena, or employment records proving she worked for him, or photos like the ones I just took of this meeting. Annika studied me for a long moment. You really want to help her? She's my sister, and he needs to face what he did to both of us. She nodded slowly. I'll tell her to go tomorrow. But Felicity... Her eyes turned steely. If this hurts her more... I'll protect her, I promised. We're family now. Back in my car, I texted Maria. Don't cancel. Trust me. Tomorrow we show him exactly who we are. Then I called Aiden. I need you to compile everything we have on Dad's connection to Selena. Bank records, employment files, everything. Already on it, but Felicity, be careful. Men like your father don't lose gracefully. Good thing I'm not giving him a choice. I watched Dad emerge from the restaurant, his usual confident stride now uncertain. Tomorrow, his carefully constructed world would shatter. Tomorrow, truth would win. My phone lit up with Maria's response. Okay, for us, for Mum, for justice, I replied, starting my car. As I drove home, I thought about Dad's face when he saw the envelope of money still sitting on that restaurant table. For once, his money couldn't solve his problems. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. The hours before dinner crawled by like molasses. I paced my apartment, checking my phone every few minutes for messages from Maria. Vienna sat on my couch, watching me wear a path in the carpet. You're going to give yourself an ulcer, she said, flipping through the file Aiden had compiled. Though I have to admit, this evidence is pretty damning. It needs to be perfect. I stopped pacing to check my makeup again. Everything needs to be perfect. My phone buzzed. Maria, I'm downstairs, scared to death. Go get her, Vienna urged. I'll finish setting up here. I found Maria in my building's lobby, wearing a simple black dress that made her look both elegant and vulnerable. Her hands were shaking. I can't do this, she whispered when she saw me. What if he... Hey, I grabbed her hands. You can do this. We can do this. Remember what you told me about wanting to help people stand up to powerful men? Start with yourself. She took a deep breath, squeezing my hands. Okay, but why are we here instead of going straight to the restaurant? I led her to the elevator. Because we have reinforcements upstairs. In my apartment, Vienna had spread documents across my dining table. Bank statements, employment records, old photos of Selena at company events, and most importantly, the DNA test results. Maria, this is Vienna, I introduced them. She's been helping us gather ammunition. Maria stared at the documents. Is that my mom? She picked up a photo of Selena at a firm Christmas party, standing next to a younger version of our father. They were both laughing, his hand resting casually on her lower back. He looked at her the same way he looked at my mom in their old photos, I said softly. He really did love her, Maria whispered. Which makes what he did even worse, Vienna added, sorting the papers into a folder. You ready to make him face it? Maria straightened her spine. Yes. No. Maybe? She laughed nervously. What's the plan exactly? I checked my watch. We have dinner reservations at 7. Mom mysteriously called to say she's not feeling well. First time she's ever missed a family dinner. Dad's planning to announce his campaign for district attorney. And I just show up and ruin it? No, I smiled. We show up together. As sisters, with proof that the moral pillar of the legal community abandoned his own daughter. He'll try to discredit you, Vienna warned. Say you're lying, trying to extort him. That's why we have these. I patted the folder. DNA doesn't lie. Neither do decades of bank transfers to your aunt. My phone buzzed. Dad. Table's ready whenever you are, sweetheart. Can't wait to share my news. It's time, I said, showing them the message. Maria gripped the edge of the table. What if I freeze? What if I can't say anything? Then I'll say it for you. I took her hand. You're not alone anymore. Vienna hugged us both. Go get him, girls. I'll be standing by with bail money if needed. Very funny, I said, but Maria actually laughed, some of her tension breaking. The drive to the restaurant was quiet, Maria clutching the folder like a shield. As we pulled into the parking lot, I spotted Dad's Mercedes in his usual spot. He's already here, Maria whispered. Good. I parked and turned to her. Last chance to back out. She looked at the restaurant, then at me. No, I've been invisible my whole life because of him. Not anymore. We walked in together, Maria slightly behind me. Dad stood when he saw us approach, his $1,000,000 smile freezing when he saw who was with me. Felicity, he said, voice carefully controlled. I thought you were bringing a friend. I did. I gestured to Maria. Dad, meet Maria, my sister, your daughter. The color drained from his face. I don't know what you think you are. Save it. I pulled out the DNA results. Science doesn't lie, Dad. Neither do bank records or employment files. Maria finally spoke, her voice stronger than I expected. Hello, Father. It's been 28 years. We have a lot to talk about. Dad sank back into his chair, looking around frantically as if searching for escape. This isn't the place. Actually, it's the perfect place. I sat down, Maria following suit. You wanted to make an announcement tonight. Go ahead. But first, let's talk about family, about integrity, about the daughter you paid to disappear. Felicity, please, he whispered. You don't understand. No, Dad. I opened the folder. But I'm about to. We all are. The waiter approached with menus, but I waved him away. This dinner wasn't about food. It was about truth, served cold after 28 years of lies. And judging by Dad's face, he was finally realizing he couldn't charm or buy his way out of this one. Dad reached for his water glass, his hand trembling slightly. Whatever you think you know. December 12th, 1995, Maria cut in, her voice steady. That's when Mum told you she was pregnant. You took her to dinner at this very restaurant, promised you'd leave your wife, build a life together. He flinched. That was a complicated time. January 3rd, 1996, I continued, sliding a bank statement across the table. First payment to Selena, $50,000 to handle the situation quietly. You're going through my private records. Funny how you're more concerned about your privacy than your daughter's existence, I said, watching his face redden. The waiter approached again. Dad tried to wave him over, probably hoping to delay this conversation, but I shook my head. He retreated, leaving us in our bubble of tension. I provided for them, Dad said finally, his voice low. More than many men would have. Maria laughed, a harsh sound. Provided? You sent money to make us go away. When Mum died, you cut us off completely. Do you know what happened then? He wouldn't meet her eyes. Aunt Annika worked 3 jobs to support me. I wore second-hand clothes, took the bus 2 hours each way to school, worked every weekend while my friends went to parties. She leaned forward. But you know what? I graduated top of my class, got into community college, became a paralegal. No thanks to you. I had responsibilities, he muttered, a reputation to maintain, a reputation built on lies, I interrupted. Family values, moral integrity. How many speeches have you given about the importance of personal responsibility? He glanced around nervously. Lower your voice. Why? Afraid someone might hear the truth? That the great Donovan Perry abandoned his own child? I did not abandon. You made my mother promise never to contact you, Maria said, never to tell anyone who my father was. You erased me from your life like I was a mistake to be buried. It wasn't that simple. Actually, it was. I pulled out another document. Here's the contract you made Selena sign, the one where you legally bound her to silence in exchange for money. Real Father of the Year material. Dad's facade finally cracked. What do you want, money? Is that what this is about? Maria slammed her hand on the table, making the glasses rattle. I don't want your money. I want you to look at me. Really look at me. I'm your daughter. I have your eyes, your smile, your love for law. But you never gave me a chance to show you any of that. A couple at the next table was watching us now. Dad noticed too, his politician's instincts kicking in. Perhaps we should continue this discussion somewhere private. No, I said firmly. No more hiding. No more private discussions and secret payments. Tell us about your big announcement, Dad. About running for district attorney. He paled. How did you... Campaign slogan all picked out. Family values. Justice for all. I smiled without warmth. Wonder what the voters would think about your secret daughter. You wouldn't dare. Try me. I met his gaze steadily. You taught me about leverage, remember? About using people's secrets against them. Felicity, he pleaded, think about what this would do to our family. Our family? Maria's voice cracked. I am your family. I've always been your family. You just chose to pretend I didn't exist. A tear rolled down her cheek. Without thinking, Dad reached out to wipe it away, a paternal instinct he couldn't quite suppress. She jerked back from his touch. Don't, she whispered. You don't get to play father now. He dropped his hand, and for a moment I saw real pain in his eyes. I never meant to... To what? I pressed. To hurt anyone? To destroy lives? What exactly didn't you mean to do, Dad? He looked between us, his two daughters, one raised in privilege, one in hardship, both now united against him. Something in him seemed to deflate. What do you want from me? He asked quietly. Acknowledgement, Maria said. Recognition. A public admission of who I am. And, I added, you're going to help her get into law school. Not with money, with recommendations, connections, everything you gave me without a second thought. If this gets out, my career will survive, I cut him off. Or it won't. That's not our problem anymore. The waiter approached one final time. Dad waved him away again, but I stopped him. Actually, we'd like the check, I said. Family dinner's over. As we stood to leave, Dad grabbed Maria's wrist. Wait, please. You look so much like her. Maria gently pulled away. I know, but you'll never know how much, will you? We walked out together, leaving him alone at the table with his untouched water and shattered plans. Outside, Maria finally let out a shaky breath. That was just the beginning, I finished, squeezing her hand. Ready for what comes next? She squared her shoulders. With my sister by my side? Absolutely. The morning after our confrontation, Dad's secretary called to set up a meeting at his office. Maria and I arrived together, walking past the familiar mahogany and brass that had always seemed so impressive, but now felt like cheap theatre props. He's ready for you, the secretary said, not quite meeting our eyes. Dad stood as we entered, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Girls, please sit. We'll stand, I said. He sighed, sinking back into his chair. I've been up all night, thinking about how to handle this. Handle this? Maria's voice was sharp. You mean handle us? That's not... He rubbed his face. I've made arrangements, law school applications, recommendations, whatever you need, and there's a trust fund. Stop. Maria stepped forward. I told you I don't want your money. Then what do you want? He slammed his hand on the desk. Tell me how to fix this. Fix this? I laughed. You can't fix 28 years of abandonment with a checkbook, Dad. I loved your mother, he said to Maria, his voice softening. She was extraordinary, but not extraordinary enough to choose over your reputation. He flinched. The situation was complicated. No, Maria said, it wasn't. A real man would have stood by his choices, supported his child, been a father. I was trying to protect everyone. You were protecting yourself, I cut in, and now you're doing it again. This meeting isn't about making things right. It's about damage control before your campaign announcement. The silence that followed confirmed everything. That's what I thought. I pulled out my phone, showing him the draft of a social media post. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to make a public statement acknowledging Maria as your daughter. You're going to apologize for the past and commit to making amends. Or, his lawyer's instincts kicked in. Or I post this, all of it. The DNA results, the payment records, everything. I'm sure the press would love to hear how the champion of family values abandoned his own child. You'd destroy our family name. You already did that, Maria said quietly. We're just bringing the truth to light. He stood, walking to the window that overlooked the city. I have a press conference scheduled for tomorrow to announce my candidacy. Perfect timing, I said. He turned back to us, and for the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. What exactly do you want me to say? The truth, Maria stepped forward. That's all I've ever wanted. Just the truth. Dad looked at her for a long moment. You really do look like her. Same fire in your eyes. Don't, Maria's voice cracked. Don't pretend you knew her. You gave up that right when you let her die alone. He sank back into his chair. The press conference is at noon. I'll make it right. We'll be there, I said. Both of us. Front row. As we turned to leave, he called out, Maria. She paused at the door. I did love her, and I'm sorry. Sorry isn't enough, she said without turning around. But it's a start. In the elevator, Maria finally let out a shaky breath. Do you think he'll actually do it? He doesn't have a choice. I showed her the messages I'd been getting from reporters. Apparently, someone at the restaurant had overheard enough to start asking questions. My phone buzzed. Mum calling. I ignored it. Your mother's been calling me too, Maria said softly, begging me to stop this. She made her choice 28 years ago. I squeezed her hand. Now we're making ours. Outside, reporters were already gathering. Word had spread fast. One spotted us leaving the building. Ms. Perry, is it true you have a secret sister? Ms. Perry, what about your father's campaign? I felt Maria tense beside me, but she straightened her shoulders and faced them. My name is Maria Rogers, she said clearly, her voice carrying. And yes, Donovan Perry is my father. Tomorrow at noon, he'll be making a statement about that and much more. The reporters erupted with questions, but we pushed through to my car. Once inside, Maria burst into tears. Hey, I pulled her into a hug. You did amazing. I've spent my whole life hiding this secret, and now the truth comes out, all of it. My phone buzzed again, Aiden this time. Just saw the news. You okay? I typed back quickly. Better than okay. Justice is coming. Maria wiped her eyes, looking at the reporters still hovering outside. What happens after tomorrow? We build something new, I said. Something honest. Together. She nodded, a small smile breaking through her tears. Together. Tomorrow would change everything. But sitting there with my sister, watching our father's carefully constructed world crumble, I knew we'd already won the most important battle. The truth was finally free. The press conference room buzzed with anticipation. Maria and I sat in the front row, exactly as promised, while reporters filled every available space. Mom had chosen a seat in the back, her perfect posture betraying her tension. Ready? I whispered to Maria. She gripped my hand. As I'll ever be. Dad approached the podium, his usual confident stride notably absent. Camera shutters clicked rapidly as he adjusted the microphone. Thank you all for coming, he began, his voice slightly hoarse. I called this press conference to announce my candidacy for district attorney. However, he looked directly at Maria and me. Recent events have made me realize that before I can speak about justice for others, I must first address justice within my own family. The room fell silent. 28 years ago, I made choices that hurt people I loved. I had a relationship with a wonderful woman named Selena Bryant, who worked at my firm. When she became pregnant, instead of taking responsibility, I chose to protect my reputation. I paid her to keep quiet about our daughter. Reporters started furiously taking notes. Mom's sharp intake of breath was audible even from the back. That daughter, Dad continued, his voice cracking, is here today. Maria Rogers, my child, whom I failed in every way a father can fail. Maria's hand tightened in mine as cameras swung toward her. I cannot undo the past. I cannot give her back the years of fatherhood I denied her, but I can finally tell the truth. He stepped away from the podium, walking toward us. Maria, I am so sorry. You deserved better. Your mother deserved better. Mr. Perry, a reporter called out. What about your campaign? Dad turned back to the podium. I am withdrawing my candidacy. Instead, I will be focusing on making amends to both my daughters and supporting Maria's dream of becoming a lawyer. Not through money, but through the guidance and support I should have given her all along. The room erupted with questions. Dad raised his hand for silence. One more thing. To my daughter Felicity, thank you for having the courage to expose my lies. You showed me what real integrity looks like. I hadn't expected that. Tears pricked at my eyes as Maria squeezed my hand. After the conference, we gathered in Dad's office. Mom joined us, looking shell-shocked. Well, Dad said, loosening his tie. It's done. Not quite. I pulled out an envelope. This is Maria's law school application to NYU. Top of her class, excellent recommendations from her current firm. She did this all on her own, but, Dad prompted, but she needs one more letter of recommendation from a respected attorney who knows the value of truth and redemption. He took the envelope with trembling hands. I would be honored. Dad, Maria spoke for the first time since the conference. I don't forgive you, not yet, but maybe we can build something new, something real this time. Mom stepped forward. Maria, I know I have no right, but I'd like to know you too, if you're willing. Maria nodded slowly. I'd like that. My phone buzzed. Vienna sending a link to the first news coverage. Perry withdraws DA bid, acknowledges secret daughter. The firm will probably ask for my resignation, Dad said, reading over my shoulder. Good, I replied. Start your own practice. Do it right this time. With both my daughters' help. He looked between us hopefully. Maria smiled slightly. Let's start with coffee. Maybe weekly. Build from there. I'd like that very much. As we left the office, reporters still hovering outside, Aidan was waiting by my car. Quite a show, he said, hugging me. Worth missing work? I asked. To see justice served. Always. Maria laughed, a real, genuine laugh. You sound just like Felicity. Speaking of justice, I turned to Dad, who had followed us out. The Women's Legal Aid Center, where Maria volunteers, needs board members. He nodded immediately. Send me the details. We said our goodbyes, awkward, hopeful things full of promise and caution. As Maria and I drove away, she turned to me. Thank you, she said, for finding me, for fighting for me. That's what sisters do. Think he'll really change? I thought about Dad's face during the press conference, about the way he looked at Maria like he was seeing Selena again. I think he already has. The question is, what do we do now? Maria smiled. We build something new. Together. Together, I agreed. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Dad. Dinner next week? Both of you? No more secrets this time. I showed Maria the message. She typed the response herself. Yes. And Dad, thank you for choosing truth this time. As we drove through the city, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's reconstruction. Building something stronger from the ashes of lies. And we were just getting started.